Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you and welcome, and thank you for joining Social Justice Alliance. You can meet us here every Saturday at noon on Zoom. We are a team of 4. Rose Colasino is our founder of this group and advisor, and myself, along with Jonathan Rogoff and Kathy Risberg, are co-leads for this team. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Jonathan to talk to you a little bit about our organizing sentiment.
All right, thank you, Kim. We are a multiracial, ethnic, and generational coalition pursuing a more diverse, engaged, and inclusive electorate. We're doing all that by educating voters and advocating policies directly impact underserved communities through empowering, supporting, and elevating frontline groups to achieve economic, political, and social justice.
You can contact us at iisja at indivisible.il.com. You can join us if you're not already doing so on Facebook. Follow us on Facebook. We're on Twitter as well. Please follow us on Twitter if you're not doing so. And I will drop all of the links into the chat for you to follow us. And at this time, I'll turn it back over to Jonathan to talk to you about our monthly meeting structure.
Thank you again, Kim. And yes, so we have developed a cadence that seems to be working pretty well, that kind of covers all the different areas that we want to address. And so the first weekend of the month, we talk with our underserved community partners. You can see some of them listed below. We're always looking for more. There's just a lot to cover, whether it's in Chicago or downstate or wherever else, just all around the state and all sorts of different types of communities in terms of whatever and all the different meanings of underserved. We try and address and cover all the gamut of that and understand where everybody's at and understanding what we as voters and as activists can do to help them. Week 2, we talk about our roadmap to 2022, which we have dubbed suppression-free democracy. And so we talk a bit about the bigger picture, reminder of what's going on and what our goals are to achieving victory at the polls in 2022 and to some degree in 2024, and what has to be done to get there, and well as we take some actions, vote forward letters and other types of things to pursue that. Week 3 is we've had a really engaging and ongoing discussion about messaging, more specifically related to what's going on at our school boards. CRT is sort of one of the big ones. There've been some other things that are going on at the school boards in terms, but tune in and hear from Jim and Joyce all about that. It's really quite fascinating. And a lot of great information on how people can engage in their local school boards competently. Week 4, we address voter registration and talk about what we need to do to get out the vote. And that's just a constant, not just at a political cycle or an election cycle, which we are approaching, but we want to be talking about getting out the vote all year, every year. So please join us, toward the end of the month to talk about that. All right, thank you.
All right, and at this time, we'll turn it over to our founder, Rose Colasino, to talk to you about ILVOTE.
Very good. Thank you, Kim, Jonathan, Kathy. I am going to be sharing screen in a moment here. Almost there, but I do want to welcome you. I want to let you know about the flow today. And yes, as Kim stated, I will be talking about, not the right slide, I will be talking about ILVOTE, and then I'll turn it over to our partner, Deb, and she will be talking to you about the very important state, isn't it, Dale? Wisconsin, and also swing states. We feel that working together, that we can get the job done with, let's call voting registration legislation federally stalled. We, even more than before, part of the plan, Jonathan mentioned the roadmap to 2022, part of it is massive voter registration, and now we have to put that on turbo. Before I get started with my remarks, I want to just mention Ukraine. We are trying to do that before every meeting because what is happening there is horrific. We do have opportunities for you to donate or participate, please reach out to us. I will recall to put my email in the chat, but our thoughts, our minds, our prayers, our hearts are with Ukraine every day. Also want to call your attention to other events because we like joining together in community and getting things done. We do have an event at 4 p.m. I will be putting that link in the chat. Dale will be happy to hear about this too. As he very well knows, we have a weekly 4 p.m. Phone bank calling into the voters in Wisconsin. They do have an important election on April the 5th. So besides that, I am just going to go ahead and jump in. For those of you that don't know about ILVOTE, it is a separate organization from our home base, which is Indivisible, Illinois. And I want to let you know that it is certified in the city of Chicago as well as in Cook County. It is an actual bona fide state civic organization, and we are proud of that. And it is certified, by the Illinois State Board of Elections. Our goal in having this group is to increase awareness and turnout. As you all very well know, we do oftentimes hopefully show up for the presidential election, the general election, but we don't always show up for state and local elections. And those elections are very, very important. And we hope that this group that many of us also belong to, ILVOTE at Indivisible, Illinois, helps get the job done. We work in coalition with other partners. I oftentimes mention the group Ballot Z, run by a young go-getter who's actually graduating from college this year. Her name is Gretchen Coleman, and her group is Ballot Z. We work with them and other coalition partners for forums and voter registration drives. And as far as the deputy voter registration trainings, I kept that in there, and we have done plenty of that, but it has been online. I'm keeping it in there because I'm thinking hopefully any day now we will be able to do trainings in person again. So what we're trying to do is get folks like ourselves, you, to take the initiative and do voter registration. I love this explanation. We believe how true and engaged and informed electorate leads to a successful democracy. I am just showcasing for you here our very active ILVOTE Facebook page. Don't worry, I will put the link in the chat, but it's another opportunity for you to stay in touch with ILVOTE if hopefully registering voters in Illinois is important to you. And as we often say, yes, where I vote in Chicago is quite blue, but there are areas that are red, and whatever your affiliation, if you want to make a difference, that is very important to know. I am sharing with you now our Twitter account. I happen to be, everybody has a different favorite, but I happen to be a Twitter person. So we also have a Twitter account. I did not advertise the Instagram account, but that is here too. So please, while I transition, I am going to show you something else. If there's any questions, let me know. Well, that was a quick transition. So here's another link, and I have not shared this with you before. We do present prior to Field Team 6 on most, where are we, fourth? I haven't had all my coffee yet, fourth Saturdays of the month. But this is a link that tells you even more about ILVOTE, perhaps even more than you might get from the Facebook and the Twitter and the Instagram. So if you do want to become a deputy voter registrar, here's your opportunity. I'm not asking you to do something that I haven't. That's one of the things I did in 2016. And as far as why this is important, I think I can skip over that. You can tell me as far as what you need to do to register. Here's all the steps, and you can just look at that on your own. But there are a couple of things here that I want to call to your attention. TurboVote. When I did work with aforementioned friend and colleague and partner Gretchen Coleman, and I told her about our paper forms that we use to register voters, I think I opened up a whole new world to her. A lot of the, let me just say, younger folks use online, and we do have a tool. There's many out there, and there's certainly tools that Deb will tell us about. Use what works out best for you. We don't have a stake in any one, but TurboVote is an opportunity where I like TurboVote so much. not picking on the young folks, but it does remind folks. So when you register them to vote, I feel that's one step. You have to remind them sometimes to vote too, and Turbo does allow for that. Lots and lots of resources. Another esteemed colleague of ours is a professor, easy for me to say, Professor Michael Peshkin, who is a professor at Northwestern University. He is the brains behind a lot of these forms that we have put together. So there's extensive resources via this link. There's also information, thank you, Karen Goldman, about organizing a voter registration table. There's a slide deck if you want to encourage people to register to vote. Frequently asked questions, all covered here, and more information. We have another website. The chair of ILVOTE is Lenny Mana-Hoppenworth. Her phone number is here, and then more information for you. If you have any questions, do let me know, and if not, give it a pause, but if not, I will now turn it over to Deb. And Deb, if you can introduce yourself, that would be great. Would very much appreciate it. And I will be putting links in the chat. If you do have any questions for me, Jonathan, Kathy, or Deb, please be sure to put them in the chat. We are going to be covering lots of information. Deb, so grateful, happy to have you here. Deb, I will tell you, is with Field Team 6 and also Indivisible, so she's family as well. Deb, over to you.
So yeah, I do feel like I'm family now, which is so cool. I have never met any of you in person, but you know, someday you never know. We might actually be able to do things in person again. I have been with Field Team 6 for several years. I currently live in Redondo Beach, California, and I've been here for a little over 30 years, but I'm originally from Michigan. So I am a Midwesterner at heart, and I still have my flat Midwestern nasal twang, so I sound like all the rest of you. So I joined Field Team 6 a few years ago. They're an organization that's been around for about 4 years, started by Jason Berlin here in Los Angeles. And he started it after the 2016 election. He was a comedy writer for TV for 18 years, and he's still really funny, but he decided there was a lot more important things out there than just getting people to laugh. And one of those was getting people to vote. And so he started registering voters. And when he first started Field Team 6, we did everything in person, and we would walk up to people with our clipboards and say to people, do you want to help me save the world from Trump? And some people huffed and got offended and walked away, and that was fine. But more people said, yeah, where can I sign? What can I do? And we developed this army of volunteers. We are proudly and legally partisan. Our mission is register Democrats, save the world. So we don't really register Republicans, and we're not legally obligated to. We're just out here registering as many Democrats as possible, because we found that after the 2016 election, you know, it was so close in so many places. In Michigan, for example, when you look at the number of votes that we lost the state by in the presidential election, it was, it calculates down to 1 vote per precinct, just 1 vote per precinct. That's so close. And you realize if we could have just registered 1 more person in each one of those precincts, could we have flipped the state and kept it? So that's our mission, really, to register people, not just in the month before an election when everybody is panicked and willing to do anything, but it's really a year-round job. It's something that needs to be done all the time. There's 7 million brand new 18-year-olds coming into age for this next election, and we're trying to register all of those. We're also making really strong efforts to register people of color and women and other underserved communities. We've concentrated our resources in 9 key states, and also the states that we feel either have a senatorial race or a House race or maybe a governor race that we can either flip or is really important for us to hang on to. So we don't have enough resources to cover the entire country. It would be great if we did. Of course, we do accept donations, and we're a completely donation funded organization, a volunteer organization, much like Indivisible. And we're just concentrated on those 9 states. One, of course, is Wisconsin. So 2 years ago, we were forced inside because of the pandemic. And so we had to learn to do everything digitally. It was a new world for all of us. And we started phone banking, we started text banking, we added postcards and media storms, and any other way that we can register people online. Now we're able to do in-person voter registrations again in some places, but not every place. It's not really safe every place, but we're starting to incorporate more of that into what we do. We also have a lot of partnerships with a lot of different organizations. We just recently joined with the Lincoln Project into a new project that they've started called the Union. I think it's up to 50 organizations now that are collaborating, concentrating on voter registration and getting out to vote and getting the truth out there in as many ways as we can. We joined with Defend Democracy, and one of the first things that they did was to start a monthly National Voter Registration Day of Action. I can finally say all 6 of those words at a time. And they are concentrating on voter registration and getting this to be a monthly event to just keep it a little more top of mind than it's ever been before. We've also started a new partner program, and I'll drop some links into the chat in a few minutes. We're doing a meeting every 2 weeks with different organizations who want to partner with us. We spend a lot of time on the phone and emails going back and forth with different partners on what they can do with us. And we decided there was probably an easier way to do that. So we've started a series of twice-a-month meetings where different organizations can come and meet with us and find out all the different things that they can be involved with us. And I'll drop that chat. So if you're a member of an organization that doesn't have access to your own data, but would like to do phone banks or text banks or postcards or anything like that, we have 16,000 names in our database, and these are unregistered likely Democrats. We can't promise they're all Democrats because, there's some Republicans that sneak into the list, but they're likely Democrats, and we can break apart that database in so many ways. For example, an Indivisible group in Tucson came to us and said, we want a postcard to a very specific geographic area, and then we want to follow up 3 or 4 weeks later with texts to those same people. So we pulled out those names and created a database for them out of our big database. And they're using our postcards, and then they're going to use our text banks to actually reach out to those people. And we all know that multiple touches to a potential voter is way better than one touch. And whether it's all through the same organization or a number of different organizations, the more we can touch these people in different ways, the better we're all going to be. So, this is way more than we can do ourselves at Field Team 6. It's, something that we can all be involved in and help. One thing that I want to do is show you a video that we just created with Brian Tyler Cohen, who does a podcast, and it's all over Twitter and Facebook with the different things that he does. So I'm going to share my screen.
So you remember that Batman movie where the supervillain does something horrible and Batman gets super depressed and gives up? Or how about in Black Panther, where he gets so exasperated that he re-ups his Netflix subscription and spends the next 6 months on the couch? Yeah, me neither. What I'm trying to say is that heroes don't give up, and that's why I have to tell you about an organization called Field Team 6. They are a volunteer army on a simple mission that I think will resonate with a lot of people. Registered Democrats, save the world. Since they started in 2019, they have helped register millions of Democrats to vote in swing states. These were the voters who helped eject Trump from the White House and who gave Democrats control of the Senate. And right now, Field Team 6 is working on registering enough Democrats to expand our Senate majority, hold on to the House, and once again save our democracy itself in November's midterms. Field Team 6 registers Democrats every way possible, with in-person voter drives and digitally, with phone calls and text banks, ads and emails, with over 500,000 postcards in 1 year and social media storms that have generated hundreds of millions of impressions. And they're pioneering new ways to register Democrats all the time, and that's because they don't give up. I've seen enough movies to know that when things are darkest, when all hope seems gone, this isn't the end of the story, it's the end of Act 2. Right now is when we write Act 3. So please, go donate, volunteer, or do both at fieldteam6.org because you control the end of this story.
We're really excited about that video and to have someone like Brian Tyler Cohen endorse our organization. You know, every little bit, as we all know, every word out there, every video, every Twitter tweet, every Facebook post, they all help. And the more times that we can get the word out in front of people's eyes helps in the long run. So, which leads me right into one of the programs that we've developed is our media storms. And we started about a year and a half ago, we did our first media storms to promote our voter registration site. Rose talked about different ways that you can register to vote online, and there are a number of them. We also have our own voter registration site. It's called voterizer.org. You go to the site, you select your state, and it takes you directly to the pages for that state because each state has their own rules and regulations and restrictions and whatever. So we started the media storms to promote the introduction of Voterizer. And that worked real well for us. And then we continued to storm all through the 2020 elections and through the Georgia elections. And then we stopped for a while and started up again just about a year ago. We started doing a weekly training. And so now we invite people every Wednesday morning or afternoon, depending on your time zone, to a training. And we show people how to get the word out on social media. We probably spend more time on Twitter, but we also send out posts on Instagram and Facebook. And now we've also started a TikTok account because that's really the way to reach younger people. So we are trying to get the word out about voter registration, but a lot of different kinds of messages, most of them, concentrating on registering to vote or voter rights or countering voter suppression. We started out with this really small army of people, and we've built it up over the last year to the point that now we're sending 10 to 12,000 tweets every week. We started out generating a couple million impressions. Now we're generating 50 to 60 million impressions every week. And we figured that over the last year, we've sent out or generated over 1 billion impressions on Twitter. And what an impression is, it means that we've gotten our message in front of a set of eyeballs. An impression doesn't vote, an impression doesn't register to vote, but if we can get this word out in front of people's eyes multiple times, that's what helps to get people to spur them to action. We know that one tweet isn't going to get anybody to do anything, but if we can get these tweets out over and over again in front of their eyes, then maybe they'll talk to their neighbor Fred or their Uncle Joe or whatever, or go register themselves, or even click through to our website and decide that it's worth volunteering or donating. And it's really driven up to our website. So we know that it's making a difference and that it's really working. We've discovered that, with media storms, it's not something that you have to spend a long time with. We have an army of people who are out there, and some of them tweet almost every day, but our media storms are concentrated on Wednesday, but it's something that you can do in 10 minutes. It's something that if you're waiting in line at the drugstore or sitting in a doctor's office or sitting in your car waiting for your carryout, you can pull out your phone and send 50 tweets out in 10 minutes real easily. If you're at your computer and you're waiting for your next Zoom meeting to start, like we all spend so much time every week, you can spend that 10 minutes while you're waiting sending out 50 tweets about voter suppression and how to register to vote. So it's something that people can do in a really short amount of time. And you know, I don't know about you, but I have people ask me all the time what kinds of things I'm involved in. And then they always thank me for doing what I'm doing. They never say, oh, that's something I'd like to do. And media storming is something that we can encourage people to do because everybody kind of has 10 minutes. And even if they're not active on social media, I've had so many people join our media storms who never used Twitter before, joined it without a Twitter account, and they started a new Twitter account, and now they're one of our most prolific tweeters. So there's lots of ways to get involved without spending your life doing it. So I want to show you real quickly how our media storms work and how easy they are. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. So this is the front page of our Field Team 6 website, okay, fieldteam6.org. And all I need to do is go to our actions menu and pick current storm. Another tab opens at that point, and I can choose to tweet or post out to any of the social platforms, but I'm going to show you Twitter. So we've got all these ready-made tweets all available, and they all have some compelling text that we worked really hard to make good, strong messages, and then a vivid graphic of some sort, because we know that that's what stops people. That's what stops people when things are floating through their or zooming through their Twitter feed. It gets them to stop and actually look at the graphic. And so then maybe they'll stop and actually read the words, okay? We change these out a little bit every week. We start new campaigns. There's a lot of tweets that are about our own voter registration events. There's things about what our partners are doing. There's things about just registering to vote and about different causes that, that are important to all of us right now. And I'm just scrolling through these so that you can see what they actually look like. So all kinds of different things, like we stand with Ukraine. To tweet any of these out, all I need to do is click the customize and share button. Okay, a pop-up window appears. And once I see the graphic in the window, all I need to do is click the tweet button and it tweets that message out for me. How easy is that? So again, I just click the customize and share button and tweet out that message. And that's the first step in our media storms. The second step for our tweeting army is to go directly to Twitter and do a search for all of our Field Team 6 tweets that have been done that day. And like I said, we usually concentrate our media storms on Wednesday, but it's kind of spread out that we're tweeting a little bit on every day of the week. All of our tweets have a couple hashtags in them, and all of them have the hashtag voterizer. And that's how we make it really easy for our tweeting army to find our own assets. So I can do a search and ask Twitter to give me all the recent tweets that contain this voterizer hashtags. And when I ask it for the latest one, here's the 2 tweets that I just sent out. And I scroll down and I see other tweets that other people are sending out right now. Here's one that was just sent out an hour ago. So our army comes to Twitter, they do a search for the voterizer hashtag, and they find all these tweets, and then they like the tweets and they retweet them. And what this does is it shows Twitter that this tweet has been engaged with, and Twitter likes to share the things that have been engaged with the most. When you go to Twitter and you see your own newsfeed, you don't see every tweet that's out there. You don't see every tweet from all of the people that you follow. Twitter is figuring out which of those tweets to show you. And they use an algorithm. They, of course, won't share their algorithm with us. But what we do know is they share the most recent posts. They share posts that have some sort of graphic in it more often than posts that don't. And they share the tweets that have been engaged with the most. So by liking and retweeting other people's Field Team 6 posts, we get those tweets to rise in the Twitter algorithm and get shared out with more people. And of course, by retweeting someone else's post, that tweet not only has the potential of being seen by all of their followers, but then it has the potential of being seen by all of my followers as well. And so we just raise it more and more that way. In our media storms, we also share tips on how to increase your own number of followers. For example, I started with about 30 or 40 followers a year ago, and I just this past week passed the 10,000 mark. So it is possible to increase your followers. It's a kind of a long process, slow and steady, but the more followers you have, potentially the more people might see your tweets. And that's how we've grown this whole program over the past year. Again, we know that one tweet isn't going to cause somebody to run out and register to vote, but it is one more message about registering to vote. So we also do a lot of other activities too. We do have a weekly email newsletter. I'm going to drop the link to how to sign up for that into the chat in a minute. But our weekly email newsletter talks a lot about our own events, but also the events of our partners and what kinds of things for voter registration are going out there in the world. We now have campaigns and different kinds of events going on in all of our different 9 key target states. We've got postcards available and postcarding scripts. And by postcarding campaigns, I mean campaigns that are going on in each state and quite often into a smaller section of a state, or maybe a particular, maybe it's targeted towards women or towards college students or towards people of color. I know that we've done a lot in Georgia with Native American populations. So we've broken a lot of populations down and developed a postcard script directly to those people. People can use any postcard when they're using our postcard campaigns, but our postcards have a QR code printed on them. And so most of our scripts encourage people to take a picture of that QR code, which takes them directly to the Voterizer website where they can register to vote right there real easily from their phone or from a computer or whatever makes it really easy to do that voter registration. We've sent out over 500,000, I think we're up to 550,000 postcards in the last year. So it's really grown as a program. And our postcards have been created by Shepard Ferry did our first series of postcards. He's the man who did the portraits of the Obamas back when they were in office. And then we got a series done by James McCullen, and we're about to introduce, or maybe we've just introduced, a new series of postcards by Jamie Rogers. So we've got these wonderful, very picturesque postcards, and sometimes maybe people are a little bit more likely to turn over the postcard and read the message if they like the picture that's on the front of it. Hopefully that works. We think it's working, and if we can get really striking postcards, maybe that will help people look at these messages a little more often. We've also got phone banks going in all 9 states. Some of them are Spanish speaking. We've started doing some Spanish speaking phone banks for people who speak Spanish and can reach out to people speaking Spanish. I can't do that. I don't speak any Spanish. And it would be really helpful living in Southern California to be able to speak Spanish. And I told myself I was going to learn when my daughter was in high school, taking Spanish, and I still never did. But luckily other people do. And so they can do those. We've also started a new kind of text bank that we call BYOP text banking. It stands for Bring Your Own Phone or Bring Your Own Phone Plan. And it uses our phone banking platform. What we discovered from text banking is we registered a lot of people with text banks, and we reached a lot of people with text banks, but it's really expensive to text bank. And we were constantly having to fundraise to pay for the huge fees that you pay to the platforms that allow text banking. So we thought, can we figure out a way to text bank for free? And so we did. And it uses our phone bank platform. And we do a boot camp every week to introduce people to this new text banking platform. We have campaigns now going into all 9 of these states. And with our boot camps, people come and there's some setup things that you've got to do on your own computer. You have to set up either Google Voice or if you're on a Macintosh, maybe Apple's messaging program, and you use that to send the texts. Google Voice has restrictions. They'll only let you send so many texts at a time. But we can't send as many as we did on something like Spoke or Through Text or one of those, but it's free and it's fairly easy, a pretty quick process of sending out text messages. So that's available if you want to text bank yourself. You're more than welcome to join our text banks. And the really convenient part about it is that once you go through the boot camp and get everything set up on your computer, you can text bank anytime you want. So if you want to do it on Tuesday night or Thursday afternoon or Friday morning, whatever, excuse me, whatever's convenient for you. People ask me all the time, what's the best time to text? And there is no absolute best time because sometimes people work afternoons or daytime or whatever. So there is no best time. The best time is whenever it's convenient for you. And so that works out really well that you can do it whenever you want to do it. But the best way still to register people is in person, in their face. And like I said, we are starting to get into in-person voter drives again, thank goodness. And I'm going to share my screen one more time and show you, come back to our website. By the way, this is our latest newsletter. If you want to sign up for our newsletter, this is what they look like, kind of a inspirational message at the beginning. And then it just goes through and tells you the latest things that we've done and what our partners are doing, our new postcards and our text banks and our media storms, lots of different information and volunteer opportunities. But what I really want to show you is on the front page of our website, we call our program Voter Drive in a Box. And these are the 9 states that we're focusing on right now. And when I click on any one of these states, it brings up our voter drive in a box, which isn't a real box. It's just a metaphorical box. Links to all kinds of information. We've created a video for each state. And this is, of course, for Wisconsin. But there's a video about how to register people in person. We also do a Zoom meeting about once a month. It might be every 3 weeks on how to do voter drives in person because it can be kind of scary walking up to people the first few times that you do it. But once you do it, you find out that it's a real kick to walk up to people and get them to register. So we walk you through how to find a place to meet, where you want to do your voter drive. Of course, we like to go to college campuses, but also being able to go to courthouse parking lots and library parking lots, lots of places. We have a hotspots directory that is a spreadsheet that goes through all kinds of places that we've already determined are good places to do a voter drive. And when you click here, it opens up a map that shows you right on a map where each of these places are located. So you can find a place that's near you to do an actual voter drive. Get back to that page. Okay. But just lots of good information all through how to create your voter drive. And then a post-drive questionnaire. So there are live voter drives going on in Wisconsin now, and those are all showcased on our volunteer opportunities page. There's none in my schedule right now that I'm seeing in Wisconsin, but there's new ones added every week. And here's a direct link to the training for Wisconsin on how to actually conduct your own voter drive. So if you want to do your own voter drive in Wisconsin, we'll show you the ropes. We'll hold your hand through the whole, do that whole thing and get you up and running in it. But if you want to partner with other organizations, there will be other voter drives. Quite often, I see them here either in Milwaukee or Madison or Janesville, lots of different places around Wisconsin.
Yeah, we're starting at the DMV's April 6th in Milwaukee.
Oh,
with
cool.
Field Team 6 at the Department of Motor Vehicles, April 6th, starting it.
Great.
After 2
Great.
years, after 2-year hiatus, we're starting it up. So.
Oh, great. So we will do an asset for that, and we'll promote that on Twitter as well. So we'll get the word out about that and help you hopefully get more volunteers for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's good to hear. I love in-person voter drives, whenever we can do them, because, that's where you actually can talk to people face to face and get them over that hurdle. And it's so much easier to register people face to face than it is through any other means. But, it's really the combination of all those different methods that tends to spur people to finally take in the big step and registering themselves. So glad to hear that. That's really encouraging. There's probably been some questions in the chat. I'm going to drop a couple links into the chat. Here are links to our website and our newsletter sign up. There's a link here to sign up for our media storms if you're interested in doing those media storms. They're a lot of fun. We try and keep it easy and fun. We've built a community of people who come back week after week and join into our Field Team 6 media storms. There's also, I'm going to drop in links to the partner meetings that I talked about, and also to our Zoom trainings on how to lead a in-person voter drive. And if you want to follow Field Team 6 on social media, I'm going to drop that in too. Here's links to our accounts on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. So all that's in there. So I'll take a look back through the questions, but I just wanted to stop and see if anybody has any questions that I can answer at this point.
I've been trying to monitor, Deb, but please, everyone speak up if I missed anything. I know that Jonathan had a question, if I could turn to him.
Yeah, it sparked my interest when you were talking about a free Twitter texting tool, and then I remembered that when you're a registered nonprofit, that a lot of the tools are free in that scenario. So I wasn't sure if you were talking about a specific tool that's overall that's generally free, or if that's something that's
Well, we use a tool called Speechify, and that is a paid tool. We do have a really good deal with Speechify because we're a nonprofit. But that's the tool where we store our assets. And by asset, I mean our ready-made posts. So that's our tool where we store our assets and then make it available so that people can get to our tool through our website and select which of these assets or ready-made posts they want to either tweet out or post to Facebook or to Instagram, and they can just select it and click a couple buttons and tweet out that message. So that is our tool. We are a nonprofit, but we are a partisan nonprofit, so we don't get quite as many breaks as a nonpartisan nonprofit gets, but yeah, we basically are a donation-driven nonprofit.
Okay, and so that tool has the posts, and then are they sending to their own lists, or is the list of people they're texting to also contained in there?
Well, we're not texting. Oh,
Sorry,
okay.
I'm getting in the weeds on texting stuff just because that's something else
Okay,
that I was looking
yeah.
at. I don't want to get too far down that right.
The texting tool we created ourselves, and we had one of our volunteers really create an extension for us on Chrome that allows this texting to happen with just a couple clicks. It started out when we first introduced it back in September or October, you had to copy and paste the entire text message into your texting program. And that was very tedious and cumbersome. And I kind of said, nobody's ever going to come back and do this a second time. So they've, updated it and improved it. So now it's just a couple clicks to send each text message out. So it's not a free tool through someone else. We're using Open Virtual Phone Bank, which is what we use for our phone banks. We're using that same platform to do texting. And if you want to if you as an organization wanted to partner with us, you would come to our trainings, learn how to do it, and then you would show your own volunteers how to text. And if you wanted to text into a specific area that we don't already have a campaign, we'd build that database for you out of the names that we already own and create that database for you to text into. Otherwise, individuals can just come to our weekly boot camps, learn how to send out those texts and text them anytime they want.
Thank you.
So it's worked well for us. It's not as fast as doing something like Spoke, but it's free. And that's what we were looking for, a good free way to send out text messages. And the longer we do it, we've gotten faster at it. It's speeded up. It takes probably 7 to 10 seconds to send each text message out. And that, of course, depends on the speed of your internet, the speed of your computer. So it's not like just pushing the one enter button that we did when we were doing Spoke and being able to send out 500 text messages in 20 minutes. But like I said, it's free. We were looking for something free.
Hey, Deb, thank you so much for being here. That video you shared was amazing.
Yeah, wasn't that great?
That was fabulous. So, everything you do is so inspiring. And I know because of Rose and Jonathan, Kim, we're already doing a lot to help you. And of course, Bill Davis with all his fabulous promotion. But what else can we do? Co-leading the gun violence prevention group, just one of our many issue teams. I've sent out the message to my other co-lead, and then also to our whole group on our group call that, we just really need to get behind, obviously, all the efforts for voting and for you guys in Wisconsin, and that sense of urgency that many of us on this call feel about that. I still haven't translated into action, but I'm joining the call at 4 today. So finally I'm joining. I'd like to be able to figure out what else Bill can put in our emails that will create that sense of urgency. We need all hands on deck for you.
Yeah.
From our group.
One thing that I've started talking about more is this idea of being able to be an activist in 10 minutes. People are always scared about having to commit their lives away. That if they say, yeah, I want to help, that all of a sudden they're giving their whole life to something. And it doesn't have to take a long time. You can do something in 10 minutes and make a contribution. And that's something that I think we need to make more people aware of, that they don't have to spend 2 hours every day doing something. When they have a spare 10 minutes on Tuesday afternoon, they can jump onto Twitter and send out, a bunch of these messages. It's really easy, and it's something that makes a difference. We need an army of people doing this. So every person that joins and sends out a few more tweets, that gives the rest of the army more tweets to amplify, and it just makes it bigger and better. So I think that's something really important that we need to tell people, is that they don't have to give us their whole lives. They can just spend a few minutes doing that. And postcards too is something that you can sit down and write 5 postcards at a time and make a little bit of a difference, and do a few every day. Or you can sit down with a group. If you've got a group of friends, you can sit down and do it and have a social time together while you're sitting and doing something valuable and sending those out. So it's, people think that activism is going and ringing on doorbells, and that can be really scary to people. And even phone banking can be scary to people, because you've got to actually talk to people. But there's things that you can do where you don't have to talk to people, and it don't need to take that much time.
That's perfect. Thank you, Deb.
Yeah.
We'll be covering 3 DMVs in Milwaukee. So if you want to tell the North Shore suburbs, that's just a quick ride up on 94. And like I said, we're covering 3 DMVs. We'll try to cover them Monday through Friday. So that's the best bang for your buck for registering voters.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dale.
That's something that works so much better when you can get up in their faces. But not everybody's comfortable with that, but maybe they'd be comfortable sending out a few tweets or writing a few postcards. And so that's not why we developed all these different ways, but it makes it a lot easier for people to get involved. I don't particularly like making phone calls. I ran phone banks, in 2020. I led the phone banks and did the trainings, but I didn't make a lot of the phone calls myself. And I don't particularly enjoy doing phone banks, but doing in-person voter drives is really fun. Walking up to people with a clipboard, that was very fun. So, different people have different skills and different abilities, and hopefully one of the different kinds of things is going to appeal to them.
And I do like that approach too, Deb, of saying it's not one size fits all. There's not one thing that makes a difference. It's everything, different things, different hearts, different passions. It all makes a difference. And that really speaks to my own personal belief about everything we do, and why we have a coalition, and why we can take different approaches to tackle and dismantle certain issues in this world, because we're all different. We all need different things. So thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Kathy.
There's a lot of different organizations out there getting out voter registration messages, and we all need to be working together. And as long as we keep the same message getting out there, everybody getting the message out in different ways, and maybe a slightly different message, one of them is going to soak into people's brains, and that's how it works.
Okay, thank you. And Bill, did you have a question or a comment?
I did. I had 100 comments, but I've lost them all. Actually, Cassie Reedsberg said many of them. It is time that we stop listening and start acting. And the first comment I was going to ask you was, how do I get onto the voterizer on Tweet? And I typed in @voterizer, and it came up. Twitter has canceled this account. So then I found Field Team 6. I found you, and I'm now following you and Field Team 6.
Cool.
When we were promoting this week, this event today, it hit me that you had, to simplify things, you have everything that we need in a box, and all the tools are there, and all we have to do is, to use an old computer phrase, just plug and play. And in our organization, we're always looking for a lead that would drive us. And I realized that 2 of our leads are part of the Illinois vote lead, maybe 3 or maybe 4. Come to think of it, I think Jim McGrath just joined. I think if we make it a part, like we are doing with having campaigns, people who are entering the candidates who are entering the campaigns join our different 9 issue teams monthly to talk about what they do. If we put a small piece of the plug and play of Field Teams in there, let's all tweet for 5 minutes. And, I think that's how we get to this without having one person burdened with the fact of coming up with all of this and trying to engage it, because you've got it all there. Question for you, the original question I had, which was, I thought I heard you said you had a database of 13,000. Did you mean 13 million?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Okay, 13 million. Oh, okay.
I think it's 16 million.
Oh, I think that's actually what I wrote down, 16. Oh, well,
Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is great. And, everybody that's been so concerned about COVID had been trying to figure out, how do we engage now? And I think you answered those questions in spades here. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. And also, as Rose has mentioned, next week, our meeting, ISJ meeting, we'll hear from our community leaders serving in underserved communities. Kathy Risberg, did you want to speak a little bit to that? Our next week meeting?
Sure. We're going to have Jessica Motzinger, who is the Illinois organizer for the Poor People's Campaign, to come back. And she is a regular now on the first Saturdays to tell us how that all is coming together for her. And just so everyone knows here that she's looking for live events in anyone's neighborhood in the community for Illinois, but I'm sure maybe she'd even go to Wisconsin for that matter. And we're waiting for confirmation, but we had an interest from Joy Bunto, who is part of the People's Resource Network, which addresses COVID-19 issues, which for folks in the city of Chicago, people of color, these are still issues impacting health. And so we want to give her a voice and elevate her in that space. And then Sarah Kinesic is coming from Newtown Action Alliance, just to give us an update on all things gun violence prevention related. So we're excited. It's always a good time to be together and just hear the voices of people on the ground who are working so hard.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll turn it over to Rose to close us out. Thank you.
I want to thank you all for being here, and thanks for stating, Deb, we can all do something, whatever we have, whatever time we have. I know that our schedules are intense, and this has been going on for a long time for me since 2016. So Deb, thank you for being such a good partner to us at IISJA. I am grateful for your training. As I wrote in chat, Deb is a professional trainer, and I have benefited from attending her Wednesday sessions. You will find her here, God willing, every month on the fourth Saturday. And as my voice is fading, I just want to remind you about a couple of things. We do have a phone bank today at 4 p.m. As Dale knows, and many of us know, Wisconsin is very important, not only to Wisconsin, but the rest of the country in 22 and 24. As Kathy stated, we do have another great event next week, so I hope you join us. Stay tuned to our Facebook account for links. And besides that, I want to tell you about one more thing. It is our role group. And apologies for the voice. Our role group has a meeting on, I'm so sorry. I'll get this out. Maybe not. Apologies. Our role group has there we go. Has a meeting on Wednesday. Topic very important to IISJA, voting access, healthcare, and policing in 2022, challenges facing Black Americans. So I hope you can join us Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. But with that, I appreciate everyone being here.